Have you ever noticed that the smallest words often carry the greatest power? Two simple syllables, I am, shape the whole story of your life. We use them every day without thought. I am tired, I am late, I am not enough. But what if those phrases weren't descriptions? What if they were commands? Commands that the universe, or something far deeper, must obey. Neville Goddard said that I am is the name of God, not a metaphor, not a symbol, the literal creative force of existence. When you speak those words, you aren't talking about yourself, you're activating divine law. Your I am becomes the seed that decides whether you'll live in limitation or liberation. And once you understand that imagination creates reality, you'll never speak the same way again. Because here's the paradox, you don't have to struggle to change your world. You only need to change the one who's speaking it. Every time you declare I am, you're setting the entire universe in motion around that identity. So the real question is, what have you been calling yourself lately? And what new world might unfold if, starting today, you chose different words? He always thought words were harmless, just air leaving the mouth, until he realized that every time he said, I am tired, the body obeyed, as if the universe itself bowed to the phrase. I am isn't casual speech. It's the voice of command, the tone of creation. In the light of I am Neville Goddard's teachings, you're not commenting on life, you're authoring it. Each declaration is a brushstroke on the canvas of being. The law of assumption identity starts right here, with the words that quietly shape our mornings. People often affirm lack without noticing. I am broke, I am anxious, I am behind. They believe they're describing circumstances, but they're actually scripting futures. Imagination creates reality, and language is imagination made sound. Your I am is the pen, your mood is the ink. Think about it. The same phrase that can summon peace can also summon chaos. Say I am calm with faith and the heart settles. Say I am overwhelmed and everything rearranges to prove you right. This is feeling is the secret explained in action. Emotion fuels instruction. The universe listens not to your wishes, but to your assumptions. Once you notice the pattern, it becomes impossible to unsee. Every I am that leaves your lips is a divine decree sealed by awareness. That's why Neville Goddard insisted that consciousness itself is God, because it responds only to itself. You don't describe reality, you dictate it. Even silence holds power when you stop identifying with limitation. Picture two gardeners. One says, I am cursed with bad soil. The other whispers, I am growing richer ground every day. Both plant seeds, but only one waters life. Under the law of assumption, identity is the climate where all seeds either wither or bloom. The power of I am Neville lies in realizing you control the weather. When someone complains, I am unlucky, they're actually rehearsing that role. They cast themselves as the eternal struggler and then forget they wrote the script. To live in the end means speaking from the fulfilled state. I am favored. I am guided. These phrases shift vibration instantly because they summon new identity. And identity always precedes evidence. Here's a small practice. Catch your next I am. Pause before finishing it. Notice the direction you're sending energy toward. Are you affirming divinity or reinforcing limitation? That single moment of awareness is the hinge between two worlds. In the mirror of speech, creation takes its cue. One could call I am the simplest spell ever cast. No candles, no rituals, just consciousness declaring itself. When emotion joins, heaven moves. This is why the divine consciousness Neville described never sleeps. It's always responding. Even whispering I am safe before bed rewires the night ahead. Some laugh at affirmations, thinking they're childish. But repetition is rehearsal for belief, and belief is structure for reality. The ancient prophets, mystics, and poets all knew it. Speech organizes matter. Say I am light and your perception begins to glow. Say I am forgotten and shadows grow thicker around you. Every word that follows I am is a seed planted in eternity. The harvest doesn't ask if you meant it. It only knows you declared it. That's why the wise learn to guard their tongue like treasure, because each utterance either expands heaven or multiplies confusion. And that realization leads naturally to the question, what is this mysterious name I am that Neville called the very name of God? When Neville Goddard said that I am is the name of God, he wasn't being poetic, he was being literal. He meant that the divine isn't somewhere in the clouds judging or rewarding. It lives inside the quiet awareness saying, I exist. That whisper, I am, is the very spark that ignited creation. The divine consciousness Neville spoke of is not out there. It's the awareness reading these words right now. Think of how children learn to speak. Before they ever say mun or pi, they somehow sense I. That self-recognition is the original prayer, the awakening of divinity in human form. It's not the ego, it's the announcement of being. From that moment, imagination creates reality, begins its dance. In ancient scriptures, when Moses asked for the name of God, the answer was simply, I am that I am. Neville didn't interpret this as mystery, he saw it as instruction. He said, replace that with whatever you choose to be. Say, I am love, I am abundance, and it's the same voice that once said, let there be light. The power of I am Neville reveals that you and God share the same creative core. Many people pray to an external deity, but the law of assumption invites a reversal. Pray as the divine, not to it. When you affirm, I am healed, you're not begging, you're commanding through consciousness. You are not a servant of God, you are the expression of God. This shift dissolves separation. Suddenly the sacred stops feeling distant. To live in the end, as Neville taught, is to stand in that identity now. No waiting, no hoping, just knowing. When the mind argues, but it's not true yet, remind it, truth begins within. Your outer life is simply the delayed echo of your inner speech, and all inner speech begins with those two holy words, I am. Imagine you're holding a lantern in a dark cave. The moment you say, I am light, the flame flickers to life. The cave didn't change, you did. That's what I am really means. Awareness declaring its nature, shaping what it sees. Every belief, every emotion, every outcome is molded by that declaration. The feeling is the secret explained by Neville comes alive here, because when you say, I am, you're not repeating words. You're stirring energy. Feeling is what clothes the invisible in form. Without emotion, I am is just sound. With emotion, it's creation. That's how divine law becomes human experience. So the question isn't where is God? It's who am I being right now? Every identity you assume, the confident one, the fearful one, the blessed one, is a mask worn by the same eternal presence. And the moment you become aware of choosing, you reclaim authorship. That's where true power begins. Some find this idea too big, too sacred to accept. How can I, a simple person, be God? They ask. But Neville Goddard never said, you are all that God is. He said God became all that you are. Divine consciousness didn't lend you a spark. It became your awareness entirely. That's why your I am carries infinite authority. To know this is to stop searching for miracles and start being one. You realize that creation isn't an event, it's an identity. And every breath, every thought, every word continues that original act. Let there be light. Once you taste that awareness, you'll never use I am carelessly again. And yet most still do, which is why the next truth matters so deeply. How easily we use these sacred words against ourselves. The tragedy isn't that people don't know the law of assumption. It's that they practice it unconsciously every day. They say, I am tired, and their energy fades like a light dimming at command. They sigh, I am broke, and money hides itself in response. Every casual complaint is a prayer in disguise. The universe only knows how to say yes to whatever follows I am. You've seen it before. Someone wakes up and declares, I am so unlucky. Moments later, they spill their coffee, miss the bus, and meet the slowest line at the grocery store. Coincidence? Not really. Their imagination creates reality by organizing events around the identity they affirmed. Reality is obedient, not judgmental, just precise. I am Neville Goddard often warned that the most dangerous affirmations are the ones spoken without awareness, because repetition builds identity, even when you're joking. Say, I am exhausted enough times, and your body starts memorizing fatigue. Say, I am not enough, and the world reflects it with surgical accuracy. The feeling is the secret explained here. You feel it, you become it. The world has normalized this unconscious creation. We laugh at memes that glorify stress, wear exhaustion like a medal, and call scarcity reality. But every word roots itself in fertile soil. The mind is always listening, shaping circumstances to match its dominant declarations. Underneath it all, your divine consciousness Neville spoke of never stops responding. It's not about guilt, it's about recognition. You're not being punished for saying, I am broke. You're simply planting that seed. And like any seed, it will bloom according to its kind. You can't sow I am unworthy and harvest abundance. The soil of consciousness has no favorites. It just reproduces your assumptions. Think of your I am as a frequency broadcaster. Every time you speak, you're tuning yourself to a station: love, fear, lack, or grace. Say, I am anxious, and you connect to stories that match anxiety. Say, I am peace, and life quietly adjusts to sustain it. You are the DJ of your destiny, whether you realize it or not. Some people wonder why affirmations don't work, but they forget what happens in between. They say, I am abundant in the morning, then spend the day muttering, I am stressed. Their vibration contradicts their confession. Creation listens to consistency, not occasional declarations. That's why Neville Goddard called persistence the secret key to mastery. The moment you wake up, your subconscious is listening for direction. If the first thing you think is, I am tired, your body programs itself accordingly. But if you whisper, I am renewed, you shift the entire tone of your day. Small words, colossal outcomes. You're giving orders to reality before breakfast. Watch how easily others define themselves through limitation. I'm not creative. I'm bad with money. I'm unlucky in love. They wear these phrases like invisible uniforms, but the moment they stop saying it, they stop being it. Because feeling is the secret. Change the inner tone and the costume dissolves. So the real question isn't whether the law of assumption works. It's whether you're awake enough to use it deliberately. Every I am is a seed waiting to bloom, for better or worse. And the garden of your life only reflects what you've planted. Once you see that, the next step becomes obvious. If words create, then what new words could recreate you? That's where the true practice begins. Every time you say I am, something ancient stirs within you, a quiet force ready to obey. You're not describing what is, you're commanding what shall be. Each phrase becomes a doorway to a new identity waiting behind it. Desire isn't lack, it's the divine whisper inviting you to shift your declaration. When the soul longs for more, it's just saying, change what follows I am. In Neville Goddard's words, every state already exists within consciousness. You don't create love, peace, or wealth. You assume the identity of one who already has it. Say I am loved, and you step into that vibration, wearing it like a new garment. Say I am abundant, and your world begins reassembling itself to match. That imagination creates reality unfolding in real time. Most people treat desires as distant goals, things they must chase, earn, or prove worthy of. But the law of assumption reverses that logic. It says, desire is the proof of possibility. The moment you want something, it already exists in the invisible. Your only task is to align your I am with it. Imagine standing before a row of doors, each labeled with a different identity. I am confident. I am healed. I am chosen. I am free. You can walk through any door you wish, but you must speak it first. I am is the key that fits them all. The moment you declare it, the scenery inside your mind rearranges. People often ask, how do I make my dream real? Neville would smile and answer, by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It's not about working harder, it's about identifying differently. Every desire is simply an invitation from your higher self saying, remember who you are. The shift doesn't start with effort, it starts with I am. Think about it like tuning a radio. The frequency of I am unworthy will never play the music of abundance. But the moment you switch to I am blessed, the signal clears. That's not magic, maestros, that's vibration responding to identity. Feeling is the secret explained. Emotion is the hand that turns the dial. Some fear that declaring new states is delusion, but pretending and assuming are not the same. Pretending hopes the change will come someday. Assumption knows it's done now. You live in the end because it already exists in awareness, and your I am makes it flesh. You've probably noticed that when you say I am confident, something subtle happens inside. Your posture shifts, your tone steadies, your heart opens slightly more. That's the divine law responding instantly to your declaration. You don't need proof to speak it. Speaking it is the proof. Because divine consciousness, Neville described, works only in the present tense. Every desire carries its own I am waiting to be spoken. The longing for love carries I am lovable. The hunger for freedom carries I am free. The urge for peace carries I am calm. Every dream is God reminding you of an identity you've forgotten to claim. So when the next desire arises, don't chase it, don't fear it. Smile and ask, what is this inviting me to say about myself now? That's how you turn longing into creation, absence into awareness. Because nothing you want is really outside of you. It's just waiting for the right name. And the next step is to start naming wisely, through practice and presence. This is where the teaching leaves theory and becomes living practice. Words alone don't move mountains. It's the feeling behind them that reshapes the landscape. Whisper, I am chosen, and let your heart echo it until the words stop sounding like hope and start sounding like memory. That's how Neville Goddard intended the phrase to be used, not as wishful thinking, but as conscious embodiment. Because when you feel chosen, life rearranges to prove you right. Start small. Before you leave the bed in the morning, breathe and choose your declaration for the day. Maybe it's, I am peace, I am provided for, or I am seen. Repeat it softly until it feels like your natural vibration. This is not affirmation for motivation. This is reprogramming of identity. I am Neville Goddard always insisted that these declarations must feel real now. Not someday, not when the conditions change, now. Your subconscious only understands present tense emotion. When you say, I am prosperous, and feel gratitude before evidence, you've already crossed dimensions. That's how imagination creates reality begins its visible work. The human mind loves to argue, but it's not true yet. That's fine, let it talk. You don't need to silence doubt, you only need to outweigh it with persistence. Repetition builds conviction, and conviction builds manifestation. Under the law of assumption, what you accept emotionally becomes fact. Think of it as a sacred rehearsal. Each declaration is a line in the divine play of your life. You repeat it not to convince the audience, but to become the role. Whisper, I am free, often enough, and soon you forget you ever wore chains. The universe doesn't cast based on experience, it casts based on identity. The feeling is the secret explained moment happens quietly, like when warmth spreads through your chest as you affirm. That's the signal that the inner world has accepted the new story. You'll know it by the calm certainty that follows, not by fireworks or visions. Truth doesn't shout, it settles, and that stillness is the birthplace of miracles. Try a small exercise tonight. Close your eyes and say, I am chosen. Then imagine what it would feel like if everyone and everything in your world conspired to support you. Feel the ease, the quiet joy, the absence of striving. That emotion is the bridge from wish to fulfillment. Many dismiss affirmations because they don't see results. But the unseen realm always responds first. When you persist, the 3D world simply catches up, like a movie frame delayed from the projector. Your faith is the film, your feeling is the light. Keep playing the scene until the outer world develops. One woman once told me she practiced saying, I am prosperous, even when her wallet was nearly empty. Within weeks, she was offered unexpected work, new clients, and a sense of dignity she hadn't felt in years. It wasn't the words that changed her life, it was who she became while saying them. The divine consciousness Neville spoke of rewards embodiment, not effort. She didn't attract prosperity, she remembered she already was it. So whisper your I am declarations, not as requests but as confirmations. You're not calling something distant, you're awakening what's been asleep within you. Each word is a spark, and each repetition fans the flame. Soon, you won't need to remind yourself anymore. The new identity will breathe on its own, and that's when the practice deepens, when feeling and faith become one. Words alone are paper. Feeling is the fire that makes them alive. When you say I am loved without emotion, it's just sound. But when your heart tingles with the feeling of being loved, the invisible responds instantly. That's what Neville Goddard meant when he said, feeling is the secret. Emotion isn't decoration, it's the current that carries creation. Imagine whispering I am free after a long season of fear. If you merely repeat it mechanically, nothing stirs. But if you close your eyes and truly feel the weight lift, even for a second, reality begins to shift. The power of I am Neville taught isn't logic, it's vibration. Emotion seals the decree. Think of the universe as a great conductor listening for harmony. Words are notes, but feelings are the tone that determines the song. Say, I am abundant with worry, and you play a discordant sound. Say it with joy, and heaven hums in tune. That's how imagination creates reality through resonance. Some people get stuck because they think they must believe perfectly. Not true. You only need to feel sincerely. Even a small spark of genuine emotion overrides years of dry repetition. Faith isn't intensity, it's authenticity. The law of assumption answers to the heart, not the intellect. Remember the last time you laughed until you cried? That raw emotion had energy, didn't it? That's the same energy creation listens to. When you declare I am blessed with that level of feeling, even softly, your words take root in eternity. Emotion transforms statements into substance. In the silence of prayer, divine consciousness, Neville described, doesn't respond to vocabulary. It responds to frequency. You can say I am healed in any language, but only feeling tells the universe you mean it. Emotion is the translator between spirit and matter. It bridges unseen intention and visible experience. That's why feeling and faith are inseparable twins. Without feeling, I am is like a lamp unplugged, perfectly built, yet without light. Plug it into emotion, and it glows with divine voltage. You'll sense it in your body, a gentle warmth, a peace that settles behind the ribs. That's awareness fusing word and being. Creation begins not in the mouth, but in the nervous system. Try this. Before you affirm, pause and breathe. Ask yourself, what does this truth feel like? Let your imagination taste it. The relief, the joy, the gratitude. When the emotion rises naturally, speak your I am slowly. You'll feel the sentence anchor deep, like roots finding soil. That's why Neville Goddard compared creation to conception. Words are the seed, but feeling is the womb. Without that union, nothing is born. Every fulfilled desire began as a sentence felt, not just spoken. It is divine law made flesh through emotion. So when you affirm today, don't rush. Whisper as if speaking directly to the universe within you. Feel your own words until they stop being something you say and become something you are. That's when manifestation becomes natural, effortless. And when the outer world still contradicts you, the next step is to persist in that inner knowing. The true test of faith isn't when things go your way. It's when everything seems to fall apart. That's when most people abandon their new I am and return to the old one. But Neville Goddard called this the bridge of incidents. Reality begins to rearrange itself, sometimes through chaos, to fulfill the new assumption. If you persist, the storm becomes proof that the seed is growing. Every identity you affirm creates friction with the old self. When you start saying, I am prosperous, the memories of lack rise like ghosts protesting their eviction. That's normal. You're not being tested by life. You're witnessing the old pattern dissolving. Under the law of assumption, resistance is just the echo of transformation. Think of a thermostat. When you set it to a new temperature, the system works until the room matches it. If you open a window, cold air rushes in, but the thermostat doesn't panic. It simply keeps adjusting. That's what it means to persist in your I am. The feeling is the secret explained in this stage. Consistency outweighs evidence. Your outer world is like delayed light. It shows yesterday's identity. So when things contradict your new state, smile gently. You're just watching the lag. Keep feeling what's true now, not what appears. I once heard someone say, I am abundance, while looking at an empty wallet. For weeks, nothing changed. Then one day, unexpected income began to flow. Slowly at first, then steadily. She didn't manifest money by effort. She persisted in identity. The power of I am Neville taught works only through repetition of being. She didn't wish for it. She became it. Persistence isn't stubbornness. It's loyalty to your higher self. You're not fighting circumstances. You're standing in remembrance. Even when doubt whispers, see, it's not working, respond calmly. It already has. Faith speaks in past tense because it lives in completion. That's how imagination creates reality long before proof appears. Sometimes the 3D world will scream the opposite of what you affirm. Your mind will panic, your heart will ache, and still you must say, I am peace. Not to deny pain, but to direct power. You anchor your state until emotion stabilizes. That's persistence, not resistance. Look at nature. When a seed is planted, the earth doesn't rush it. Storms may come, but the seed doesn't reconsider becoming a tree. It keeps growing in silence, certain of its purpose. That's you affirming I am through every contradiction. Your calm is your command. Divine consciousness, Neville described this as faith in the unseen. He said that when the senses deny it, that's your cue to believe harder. Because senses only report the past. Faith perceives the present creation. When you hold your I am long enough, the senses eventually yield. The 3D bends like metal in the heat of conviction. So when the world contradicts you, persist. Quietly, gently, consistently. Don't argue with appearances, outlast them. Every assumption has a gestation period, and your persistence shortens it. Soon, your environment will echo your inner declaration word for word. And when that happens, you'll notice the subtle signs that your I am has already shifted. You'll know your I am has shifted long before the evidence arrives. It begins as a strange calm, a softness in the air, as if life itself has exhaled. The same problem that once triggered panic now feels irrelevant, distant, almost unreal. That's the first sign of inner movement. As Neville Goddard said, when you feel natural in the assumption, it's done. This isn't blind positivity, it's divine memory resurfacing. You no longer chase or plead, you simply know. It's like remembering where you left your keys. The search ends because certainty has returned. That quiet confidence isn't arrogance, it's alignment. It's the vibration of divine consciousness Neville always pointed to. Your outer world begins to rearrange in small, almost invisible ways. A conversation, a sudden idea, a coincidence that feels too perfect. These are not random. They're the law of assumption unfolding gently through your timeline. When the inner state changes, the outer plot rewrites itself. That's imagination creates reality made visible. You might notice that you react differently. Someone criticizes you and instead of defending, you smile. Delays that used to frustrate you now feel purposeful. It's as if your nervous system received new instructions. Be still. It's already done. That is spiritual maturity, effortless, not forced. The second sign is a subtle sense of gratitude before anything arrives. You wake up thankful for blessings not yet seen, yet somehow felt. That emotion is faith incarnate. Feeling is the secret explained. Gratitude is the vibration of fulfillment. You're not pretending, you're remembering abundance that was always yours. People around you may start to comment, "You've changed. You seem lighter." They won't know why, but they'll feel it. Because identity radiates, energy announces itself. You've stopped living from reaction and started living from assumption. That's the mark of someone who knows the power of I am Neville revealed. You also lose the urge to explain or prove yourself. The need for validation dissolves because truth no longer requires witnesses. This detachment isn't coldness, it's confidence in divine timing. When you embody a state, you no longer chase the mirror's reflection. You simply let it catch up. Synchronicities multiply. You think of a friend and they call. You imagine a scene and the opportunity appears. These coincidences are confirmation that your inner movie is projecting smoothly into the outer screen. You're not forcing, you're flowing. You start to feel authored, not by fate, but by awareness itself. There's a quiet sense that something greater is writing through you. Each moment feels intentional, even the pauses. That's when I am Neville Goddard's message becomes alive. Consciousness is the only cause. You're no longer separate from creation. You are its instrument. And the sweetest sign of all, peace. Not because everything is perfect, but because you finally stopped fighting reality. You see now that reality bends to you, not against you. This peace is the afterglow of alignment, the calm of divine authorship. And as this peace deepens, you discover the next truth. The I am is no longer something you use. It's something you are. There comes a point when I am stops being a tool and becomes a truth. You no longer repeat it to fix your life. You whisper it to remember your nature. The striving dissolves, and what remains is quiet knowing. That's the difference between wanting to manifest and awakening as the manifester. It's no longer about getting, it's about being. Neville Goddard called this the state of deep embodiment. It's when the words, "I am blessed," feel so natural that you forget they were once an affirmation. They've turned into identity, the air you breathe. That's when creation becomes effortless. Because feeling is the secret explained, you now live permanently in that feeling. You stop checking for results because you know results are inevitable. You no longer monitor reality like a gardener digging up seeds to see if they've sprouted. You trust the soil of consciousness. Faith has become familiarity. The law of assumption is no longer a practice. It's your way of being. When you say I am, you feel it echo through time, as if it's the same voice that said, "Let there be light," and maybe it is. Divine consciousness. Neville revealed that there was never a gap between you and God, only forgetfulness. Embodiment is remembrance. You awaken to what was true before you ever spoke. This is where living in the end becomes natural. You don't visualize to force outcomes. You see from fulfillment, because that's your home. Every action flows from identity, not effort. Even when challenges appear, they feel like scenes in a story you already know ends well. Peace becomes your baseline frequency. People around you might still hustle, chase, or complain, but you've lost interest in struggle. You realize nothing real can be missing from consciousness. The pursuit ends because the realization dawns, I am already it. That's the essence of the power of I Am Neville taught. It's not self-improvement, it's self-recognition. In this stage, words lose their strain. You don't need to shout affirmations into the universe. A whisper will do, because now the authority behind the word is felt. The declaration, I am love, doesn't reach out. It radiates from within. You've become the source you used to invoke. There's also humility here. You see that everything you once wanted to attract was simply a reflection of who you already were. The abundance, the peace, the relationships, all mirrors of identity. The external becomes secondary, the internal primary. That's when imagination creates reality, becomes an effortless truth, not a method. You stop praying for outcomes and start communing with awareness itself. The line between you and God blurs until it disappears. Prayer becomes gratitude, silence becomes sacred, and every breath quietly repeats, I am. Deep embodiment is the moment creation and creator merge. You no longer use I am to become, you use it to remember. It's the full circle of awakening, from speaking words to being the word, and from this realization, the next truth arises naturally, that I am was never a phrase at all, but creation itself in motion. At last you understand, I am was never just language. It's not something you say, it's something you are. Those two words contain the vibration that shaped galaxies and hearts alike. When you speak them consciously, creation stirs, listening for instruction. You are the echo of God declaring existence again. Neville Goddard called I am the very root of being, the first cause. Before any form appeared, there was awareness saying, I am. From that awareness, worlds unfolded. So when you speak those words now, you're invoking the same creative power that began time itself. The difference is awareness, knowing who speaks. Most people use words to describe the world, but the awakened use words to design it. They no longer ask, what is real? They ask, what am I assuming? That's the law of assumption in motion, identity sculpting circumstance. And once you grasp that, reality becomes clay in your hands. Think about it. Everything in your world right now is a reflection of your last I am. Your health, your relationships, your finances, all shaped by the identity you've worn. Change the root and the branches transform naturally. This is not control, it's coherence. Because imagination creates reality through identity, not effort. When you speak I am with awareness, you align heaven and earth. The unseen rushes to support the seen. You begin to notice how thoughts materialize faster, how desires feel lighter. That's because the command is pure. No doubt, no hesitation. The feeling is the secret explained. Emotion seals divine authority. Say, I am peace, and the room softens. Say, I am loved, and hearts respond. Say, I am light, and darkness becomes your canvas. These aren't poetic metaphors, they're literal laws of consciousness. Every word births form because you are divine consciousness Neville unveiled. At this point, you realize creation isn't happening to you. It's happening through you. You are not a spectator in God's universe. You are the universe aware of itself. The split between prayer and fulfillment dissolves. I am bridges heaven and matter effortlessly. That's the power of I Am Neville shared so patiently with the world. When you finally live this truth, you stop fearing the future. How could you fear what you're creating? The unknown becomes the canvas of infinite possibility. You speak gently, move slowly, love deeply. Knowing every act is divine self-expression, you become both author and story. This is the essence of awakening, realizing you've been speaking creation into being all along. Even your mistakes were manifestations of unconscious power. Now with awareness, you can create deliberately, with grace, with beauty. Your words become blessings, not reactions, and every breath repeats, I am, therefore all is well. I am is not a phrase. It's the heartbeat of existence. Every time you utter it, reality listens. Speak it with reverence, feel it with truth, and your world will rise to mirror your divinity. This is the secret Neville guarded and gifted, creation remembering itself through you. And now the story begins anew, in the awareness of I am. So now you know, the words you speak after I am aren't random. They are living codes, shaping every corner of your reality. You're not waiting for a miracle. You are the miracle, declaring itself with every breath. When you say, I am peace, I am loved, I am free, the universe doesn't argue. It aligns, because consciousness only knows how to reflect what you dare to become. Before you close this video, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what identity have I been reaffirming without noticing? And who could I become if, from this day forward, I only spoke as the person I wish to be? That question alone can open a new lifetime, one spoken into existence with awareness. If this message touched something inside you, let it continue. Speak your new I am softly tonight before you sleep. And if you want to keep awakening that divine voice within, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and walk with us as we keep remembering. Creation begins the moment you say, I am.